The sound of Victoria's fancy heels echoed through the office as she watched security escort me to the elevator. She smiled, proud of herself, her lipstick perfect as always. Behind her, my father stood in his office doorway, silent just like he had been my whole life. "I told you this would happen," Victoria called out. "You don't belong here, Victoria. You're just the maid's daughter pretending to be part of this world. My name is Victoria Mars. I'm 29 years old, and I was just fired, humiliated in front of everyone, at Martinez Technologies, the company my father built, the company where I worked hard for 8 years, climbing from intern to director of operations. And now, my stepmother had finally pushed me out." James, the security guard, pressed the elevator button. He had known me since I was a teenager. His face was full of regret. "I'm sorry, Miss Victoria," he whispered. "This isn't fair." I gently squeezed his arm. "It's okay, James. Everything happens for a reason." Victoria laughed. "Make sure you clean out your desk, though there's probably nothing worth keeping. Just like your mother." As the elevator doors closed, I saw my father still standing there, still saying nothing. Some things never change. My mother had been a housekeeper for the Martinez family when she met my father. Their love story shocked Houston's high society, a rich businessman falling for a maid. But they married anyway, and for a while, we were happy. Then she got sick. Cancer. She died when I was 10. Within a year, Victoria arrived with her fancy clothes and powerful friends, determined to erase all memory of my mother. I walked to my office, my former office, ignoring the stares and whispers. My team looked heartbroken. They knew what this meant. Victoria would replace me with one of her rich friend's kids, someone who had no clue how to run a company. Miss Martinez, my assistant Sarah, rushed over, her eyes full of tears. "We heard what happened. It's so unfair. You've done more for this company than anyone." I stayed calm as I packed my things into a box. "Life isn't always fair, Sarah. But sometimes endings are really just new beginnings." "What will you do now?" she asked, helping me pack. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a small leather notebook, my mother's old recipe book. I always kept it with me, but it wasn't just filled with recipes. Hidden between the pages were notes and plans, things Victoria had no idea about. "Don't worry about me," I said with a small smile. I've been ready for this day longer than Victoria realizes. The truth was, I knew this was coming. For years, Victoria had tried to push me out. But I was too good at my job, too important to the company. She couldn't find a reason to fire me, until now. She had finally set me up. Fake documents, forged signatures. It looked like I had stolen money from the company. It was a perfect plan, and I had to admit she had done it well. It made my blood boil. But Victoria didn't know that I had been watching her too. For years, I had been gathering proof, every shady deal she made, every dollar she stole, every lie she told my father. I had learned from my mother that sometimes the best way to win was to wait, watch, and take notes. As I walked out of Martinez Technologies, I pulled out my phone and called a familiar number. "Daniel, it's time. Are you ready?" Daniel Chen had been my best friend since college. Now he was one of the best corporate lawyers in Houston. He had been helping me build my case against Victoria for 2 years. "Everything's ready," he said. "The evidence is solid. Are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no turning back." I stopped on the sidewalk, looking up at the tall building, my father's company, my family's legacy. "I'm sure," I said. Victoria thought she had won. She thought she had finally erased me, just like she erased my mother. But she was about to learn that underestimating me was her biggest mistake. That night, I sat in my apartment, reviewing all the evidence. It was bad. Hidden bank accounts, fake contracts, years of stolen money. Any investigator would be shocked by what Victoria had done. My phone buzzed with messages from my team, support, anger, offers to quit and protest. I told them to stay. I needed people inside the company for what was coming next. A knock at the door pulled me from my thoughts. I opened it to see Maria, one of the company's longtime cleaning staff, and my mother's best friend. "Maija," she said, hugging me tight. "That witch finally did it, huh?" I hugged her back, breathing in the familiar scent of her perfume, the same one my mother used to wear. "It's okay, Maria, I'm okay." She pulled back and studied my face. "You have that look, the same one your madre had when she was planning something. What are you going to do?" I led her inside and showed her the files spread across my dining table. Every secret Victoria thought would stay hidden. Every stolen dollar. Every lie. Maria's eyes widened as she flipped through the papers. Dios mío. How long have you been collecting this? Since the day I overheard her talking about getting rid of me. I repeated, remembering that moment 2 years ago when I had accidentally overheard Victoria's phone call. She had called me an embarrassment to the family name, swearing she wouldn't stop until I was gone. Like your mother, Maria said softly. She did the same thing to Anna, made her life so miserable that she felt she had to leave, even before she got sick. I hadn't known that. Another piece of the puzzle. Another reason Victoria needed to face the consequences of what she had done. Maria continued, next week is the big board meeting. Victoria's been telling everyone about her big presentation, how she's going to announce changes to modernize the company. I smiled. I know, and while she's been planning my downfall, I've been planning something much bigger. The next morning, I dressed carefully in my best suit, the one my father gave me when I was promoted to director of operations. Victoria might see me as just the maid's daughter, but I was also Richard Martinez's daughter, and it was time everyone remembered that. I checked my phone, messages from Daniel confirming everything was ready, updates from my allies inside the company, and a missed call from my father. I ignored it. He'd had years to stand up for me to see what Victoria was doing. His silence was his choice. I grabbed my keys and the thick folder of evidence we had collected. As I caught my reflection in the mirror, I saw my mother's eyes staring back at me, strong, determined, fearless. She had taught me to stand up for myself, to fight for what was right. Victoria was about to learn exactly what that meant. Game on, I whispered, stepping out the door. It was time to take back everything Victoria had tried to steal, my job, my reputation, and my family's legacy. The boardroom of Martinez Technologies was on the top floor, with huge windows showing a breathtaking view of the Houston skyline. As I rode up in a service elevator, the only way to avoid security, I thought about all the times I had sat in that boardroom, presenting reports while Victoria watched me closely, waiting for me to fail. Ready? Daniel texted. Born ready, I replied. Maria had let me in through the back entrance, just like she used to when I was a kid visiting my father at work. Now she hugged me tightly before pointing to the private stairwell leading to the executive floor. Your mother would be so proud, she whispered. I checked my watch, 9:55 a.m. Victoria's presentation would start at 10 o'clock. She would be telling the board about my so-called crimes and explaining how she planned to save the company from corruption. The irony almost made me laugh, if it didn't make me so angry. Through the crack in the boardroom door, I could see them gathering. The board members in their expensive suits, my father at the head of the table, and Victoria at the front, looking perfect in her designer dress and pearls. She was smiling. That smug, satisfied smile. She thought she had won. At exactly 10 o'clock, she began. Ladies and gentlemen, she said smoothly, I call this emergency meeting to discuss a serious issue. As you may know, we had to fire Victoria Martinez yesterday due to strong evidence of financial misconduct. I saw some board members frowning. They had worked with me for years. They knew me. I know this is hard to hear, Victoria continued, pretending to be sad. We all wanted to believe in Richard's daughter, despite her humble background. But the evidence is undeniable. She clicked to the first slide of her presentation. Fake bank records and forged documents, making it look like I had been stealing money for years. That was my cue. I pushed open the doors and walked in with Daniel right behind me like I owned the place. You're right about one thing, Victoria, I said. The evidence is very clear. The room exploded into chaos. Victoria's face went pale, then red with anger. Security, she yelled. This is a private meeting. Daniel stepped forward, setting his briefcase on the table. Actually, as the company's legal counsel, I've invited Ms. Martinez to present her own evidence. My father finally spoke, his voice tired. Victoria, what are you doing here? Something I should have done a long time ago, I said, looking him in the eye. Showing you the truth about your wife. Victoria let out a shaky laugh. This is ridiculous. The board has already seen proof of her crimes. You mean these? I held up the same documents she had used against me. Interesting how all the digital files were created last week. The board members leaned forward, checking the dates more carefully. But that's not why I'm here. I continued, pulling out my own file. I'm here to show everyone what Victoria has really been doing with the company's money for the past 5 years. What followed was the most satisfying 30 minutes of my life. Slide by slide, document by document, I exposed everything. Her secret bank accounts, the fake consulting companies, the money she had stolen. The proof was undeniable. This is nonsense, Victoria snapped, her calm mask slipping. Richard, are you going to let her do this? To me? To us? My father sat there, looking older than I had ever seen him. Is this true, Victoria? He asked. Of course not, she shot back. She's lying, just like her mother always did. The words hung in the air like poison. I saw my father flinch, real anger crossing his face for the first time. Don't, he said quietly. Don't you dare talk about Anna like that. Victoria must have realized her mistake because she quickly changed her approach. Richard, darling, she's just trying to cause trouble. You know how she's always been jealous of our relationship. Like you were jealous of my mother? I shot back. Jealous enough to make her life so miserable that she quit working here. Maria told me everything. How you spread rumors about her, made her life harder, even before she got sick. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Maria? The cleaning woman? You're believing gossip from servants now? No, I said calmly. I'm believing the evidence. Like this. I pressed play on an audio file. Victoria's own voice filled the room, talking about framing me, about getting rid of the embarrassing reminder of my father's first marriage once and for all. The color drained from her face. My father stood up slowly, his hands shaking. Get out, he said. Richard. Get out? His voice was sharp, full of authority. Security will escort you from the building. The police have already been notified about the fraud. Victoria looked around desperately, but no one came to her defense. The board members were already studying the evidence, their faces serious. She grabbed her bag and rushed out, her usual perfect composure gone. The room was silent. My father turned to me. Victoria, I don't. Not now, I said softly. There's still work to do. The next few hours were a blur. Police reports, emergency board meetings, damage control. Victoria was arrested at the airport, trying to flee to the Cayman Islands. The company's lawyers worked fast to recover the stolen money. My name was officially cleared. A week later, I sat in my old office, my office again, staring out at the city. A knock on the door made me turn. About a minute, my father asked. I nodded, motioning for him to sit. He lowered himself into the chair, looking both older and somehow lighter than before. I failed you, he said simply. I failed your mother. I let Victoria ruin everything because I was too blind to see the truth. Yes, I said. You did. He nodded, accepting it. I can't change the past, but I want you to know your mother would be so proud of you, not just for exposing Victoria, but for everything you've done, everything you've become. I felt tears well up but held them back. I learned from her, I said. She taught me to be strong, to stand up for what's right. Even when she was sick, she never gave up. My father smiled, though there was sadness in his eyes. She did, and she passed that strength on to you. We sat quietly for a moment, so many things left unsaid between us. Then he spoke again. The board wants you to be the new CEO. They don't trust my judgment anymore, and honestly, I don't blame them. The company needs a new leader. A better one. I stared at him shocked. Dad, you deserve it, Victoria. Not because you're my daughter, but because you've proven you're the best person for the job. You protected this company when I couldn't. Now it's your turn to lead it. 2 months later, I stood in front of the company's employees, giving my first speech as CEO of Martinez Technologies. The changes we made were already making a difference. More honesty in business, fairer policies, and a foundation to help employees' children with their education. As I looked at the crowd, I saw Maria smiling proudly from the back. I saw my old team, now promoted to leadership roles they had earned. I saw my father, retired, but finally present in my life. And in my heart, I saw my mother. Not as she was when she was sick, but how she was when I was little, strong, loving, fearless. Victoria had tried to erase us, the maid and her daughter, a past she wanted to forget. But all she did was make us stronger. Sometimes justice doesn't come in big dramatic moments. Sometimes it's found in simple truths. And sometimes the best revenge isn't about tearing others down. It's about building something better from the ruins they left behind. As the applause filled the room, I touched the small recipe book in my pocket, my mother's legacy, now mine to carry forward. Victoria had never understood that real strength doesn't come from money or power. It comes from knowing who you are and never letting anyone take that away.